Assalamualaikum, hello and welcome to my show Connecting with Saima Parwaz. I hope all of you are doing great and waiting to see my today's guest. Every nation needs good leadership to run a country in a better and successful way, and the best leadership is who knows how to help the downtrodden people properly. As most of us know, Ontario's elections are around the corner. My today's guest is a very dedicated and strong woman who started her career as a high school teacher and was elected president of local teacher association representing 2,500 teachers. She's contesting elections from King Vaughan. Welcome to my show, Gillian. How are you?
Thank you very much, Saima. I am delighted to be here and I'm very well.
And I'm so glad to see you here. I met you a few times for the last few weeks, and I'm so glad you're here. So tell my audience about yourself a little bit.
As you had said, I started my career as a high school teacher. I'm retired now, and for 8 of those years, I was a representative for my teachers with the local association, and I feel that this is a great opportunity to move Ontario forward. And that's one of the reasons that I want to be involved.
And you want to make a changes in Ontario?
We definitely need some change.
We need,
because
yes.
we cannot continue with the status quo. It simply can't go on the way it is.
Yes, we need, in order to make Canada again a good country or best country.
Canada is a good country.
Yeah.
I'm not buying into that premise of the make Canada great again or Ontario Ontario needs change, but we are a good country, and Ontario is a great place to live, and King Vaughan is a great place as well. I'm so happy that I'm doing what I am there, and I'm excited to tell you more about that.
So Julian, tell me what made you to be a politician. You were a high school teacher, and then what brought you to be a...
I was never involved in politics at all when I was young. And then I met and married my husband of 39 years now. And he was very, very heavily involved with politics. So he introduced me to this whole notion of being involved, helping candidates, campaigning and canvassing, and you go to a campaign office, what does that look like, and why we should be involved in politics. And so as the years went by, I became the riding association president for Greg Savara, and then for Stephen Del Duca, and we became known as the canvas queen and king, because we would be always spending our time knocking on doors, and I became more and more involved in it. Then my career with the association took over a little bit more of my time, but always there was that element of advocating for better, for more resources for my teacher educator colleagues. And then I was asked by the candidate search committee for King Vaughan if I would consider running. And so I called 9 people who are friends in various perspectives, asked each one of them what they thought, and listened to their opinion. And one of them had been an MPP. So I said to him, well, what exactly does the job entail? Because, okay, it's fine to run, but there's going to be a job at the end of that. Do you want to do the job? And so he explained to me what was involved, helping people, advocating, problem solving, and he listed a bunch of things that fit into the skill set that I already had and what I had been doing full time for 8 years. So I said, I can do that. I mean, I did it for 2,500 people. It's basically the same job for 100,000 people. So, all right, let's give it a go, because I've had so much training. and skill development that I've practiced and experience. I first got involved with the association in 1995. So, and I retired in 2022. So all of that time has been spent with learning and building my skills. It would seem a waste to not utilize them to help people. I mean, I still have that desire to help people, and so that's why I said yes, I would run.
That is so great. Yeah, because not everyone has this desire to help other people. Everyone is living for themselves. You know, many people, they're living for themselves, but yeah.
Well, that's not really why we're here. We're here to
help people. Yeah.
Work with our communities and help people and make the communities successful and grow.
Yeah.
And
we cannot do it without each other's help, right?
Well, in a world that's so competitive, it's become this, you know, as you know, the phrase dog eat dog world, and that's not my dynamic. For me, it's about win-win. And to that end, I finally fulfilled a bucket list check mark. I got my mediation certificate, so I'm a certified mediator. And in the type of mediation that I would do, mediation is about helping both parties reach a win-win solution. Will everybody get what they want? Probably not. But will it be the best that they can be happy with and walk away from? And if we move in that perspective, how can our communities not end up growing and becoming better?
Of course. All right, I understand that you were the provincial Liberal candidate in Kingwan for the Liberal Party in 2022, and you have been nominated as the provincial Liberal candidate in Kingwan for this election, now being held a year and a half early. Why do you think you were the best candidate for Kingwan, and why should people support you, the voters support you?
So I'm not a politician. All right, as we've said, I'm a retired high school teacher. To my mind, a politician has particular goals. They may involve power, glory, accolades. You know, they've got to be in that picture, cutting that ribbon, and it's about getting their name out there. It's about, in some cases, making money. That's never been me. In all of the years that I worked full-time with the association, it was never about politics, because there's no time for politics when you're doing the hard work that people need in order to be successful.
And when you are honest, right? When you're honest with yourself and with other people, right?
Exactly. And so for me, I have sort of two pieces in my vision. I have this big vision piece that I would very much love to have people acquire confidence and trust again in their government representatives. And that's the word that I always use, is representative. I'm not a politician. I could do that. I'd probably be really good at it, but I wouldn't be happy. That's not me.
That's
because
not
in politics, you play games. And I don't know about you and your audience, but I am just so tired of people playing politics with my life. Even this election that's happening right now, it's a year and a half early, as you said. That's playing politics with our life.
They're playing games. Everyone is playing games, even any profession.
When you are a representative, you don't have time to play games.
Yeah, true.
Because you're busy helping people, serving people. I'm a big believer in servant leadership. So I would very much like people to know that I'm a person of character, a person of integrity, and a person of honesty. I'm not going to say, I will promise you what you want if you'll vote for me, because that's playing games. That's what politicians do. I will help you if I can. I will try. Tell me what you need. What is the issue? What is it that's happening? I met a woman today, actually, who was telling me her story. And I said to her, give me a little bit of background. So I was trying to understand what was happening with her. and her husband had been cut off with his disability payments, and she was having difficulty finding out why. And so she explained her situation a little bit, and I said, well, I'm not the elected official, so there's not a lot I could do right now, but I'm very intrigued, and the problem solver in me wants to sort out the mystery. So I said, I can't make you any promises. And she said, stop. She said, you are the first person that I've spoken to who has said that to me. And because you said that to me, myself and my family, we're going to vote for you because you're being honest with me. You're not going to tell me something that you can't do. And so I will say to people, the only promise I can make is that I will bring your voice to the table, regardless of how you vote. Saima, at the end of election day, whoever wins represents everyone, not just the people who voted for them, not just the donors with deep pockets, not just their friends or family. It's everyone, whether they agree with you or not, whether they have a different perspective or not. You represent everyone, and you have an obligation as the elected official to bring their voice to the table. Now, it doesn't stop there. You don't just bring their voice to the table. You have to advocate. You have to do what you can to make sure that their needs will be met when the laws are being made, or when the policies are being developed, or when the regulations are being implemented. Whatever that looks like, you represent your community. That's what you're there for.
Yes,
you're not there
definitely.
for pictures and ribbon cuttings. Those things are necessary, but that's not why you're there.
Yes.
And so on the smaller level, for me, it's about servant leadership. On the larger scale, I would like to see integrity and character come back to government so that people can stop being afraid. It's very negative out there. I'm sure you've heard people will say, oh, you can't trust politicians, they're corrupt, they're all
the
crooks.
time.
And that's why I don't use that P word, politician. I'm not a politician. Great, you can think whatever you like about politicians, because I'm not one of them. I want to be your representative. And so that's why I think people should vote for
it's
me.
all about the justice, right? How people are doing justice with their professions,
Yes.
with their work,
Yes.
with their, with their lives. If we are not doing justice, we nowhere.
So career politicians, like the individual who's currently elected in King Vaughan, he's a career politician. And career politicians, in my experience, make the world about them. Representatives and servant leaders, and there are those who are in government, make it about the people. It should always be about the individuals that you serve. So that's why I think I would be the best person in King Vaughan to work for the people who live there. All the people who live there.
Yeah, all the people.
Not
yeah.
just the liberals. All the people.
all the people. of
All the
course,
people.
yeah, because everyone is human. All the humans.
I have never met a non-liberal, and I've knocked on thousands of doors, especially since the last campaign. I didn't stop. I want to hear what the people in the different communities of King Vaughan need and have to say, and hear their stories. So interesting. What a great place King Vaughan is. And so for them, it's about taking those stories. And I've yet to hear anybody say to me, Gillian, I don't want a clean environment. I don't want outstanding schools. I don't want great health care that's accessible and free. I'm not interested in jobs or the economy. Jobs, economy, what's that? Or stable infrastructure, the water runs, that's okay. I've never heard anybody who says they don't want to have all those things. Clean environment, outstanding health care, accessible education. They want to have stable jobs in the economy. They want to have infrastructure. They want to know when they turn the tap on, there's going to be clean water coming out. When they flip that light switch, the light is going to go on. Right? Everybody has that common ground. What we disagree on is how are we going to provide it and who's going to pay for it, generally. So now we have a place to have a conversation. Some of the best conversations I've had have been with non-liberals. Because they're, as you said, they're just people who might have a different perspective to me. And I might end up walking away at that door saying, we're going to have to agree to disagree, but it was a pleasure to talk with you. That's how it should end.
If someone during this campaign, if people wants to reach to you, where they should call you or how they can reach to you?
So the best thing to do, if you have access to the internet or on your cell phone, is to go to votejillian.com. That's my website, and you'll be able to find lots of information about me, about Bonnie Crombie, our leader, and the wonderful policies that she is prepared to and committed to implement once the Liberals become government. And it is really a terrific platform. It's about making life better for everyone. Not, again, just for the supporters. It's for everyone. Because everyone deserves better. And everyone needs to be moving forward to the win-win. And that's not what's happening now. What we're seeing is attention being given to the favorites, attention being given to the wealthy donors. And don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against rich people. I don't have anything against developers. We need to have all the different parts of the community working
in order
together
to run the economy. Right?
What I think I find most objectionable is when certain groups of individuals sidestep process. And when they work outside of the rules. I'm very much a rules person. And when that happens, it causes harm and disadvantage to others. That should not happen. Right? We need to have everybody working together for the common good, the common goal. And whatever that looks like for somebody. Success means something different to everybody. And for some people, success is being able to pay the rent, have food on the table, clothes for the kids, providing the basic necessities. For others, success means having enough money to be able to give to charity, or to be able to buy that little piece of art that they like, or maybe go on a trip, or bring their parents over to live with them from another country. Success,
it depends on the person.
It depends on the person. So what's government's role in that? Government should be able to provide the structure where that can happen, where people aren't struggling and watching others get an advantage that's not fair, right?
I'm sure my audience are really enjoying talking with you. We are going for a small break. Guys, I'm going to see you guys after a break. Hi friends, I'm back. I'm talking here with Gillian. Gillian, how was your break?
The break was great.
Okay, so I'm really enjoying talking to you, and as always. Okay, so we're talking about you are running from King Vaughan.
Yes.
So where it is exactly? Can you tell to my audience?
Sure. So in Ontario, there are 124 divisions. They all have boundaries and they're geographic divisions. So King Vaughan is just north of Toronto, and it's probably one of the largest ridings. That's what these divisions are called, ridings, and political areas. And it runs, if you know the Highway 400, it starts at Major Mackenzie and 400, it goes over to Highway 50, all the way up to Highway 9, all the way across to Bathurst, down to Rutherford and back to the 400. So it's this great big giant geographic area. And it has 5 major cities and 3 little towns in it. It's a mixture of rural and agricultural, which are not the same thing, land. There's urban, and it is this very rich robust mosaic of communities. So you have Kleinburg, you have King City, Maple, Nobleton, Schaumburg. Those are the larger communities. Then you have these three little small communities of Kettleby, Lasky, and Pottageville. And then there's all of this land in between. So it's this very mixed, just as I said, mosaic of communities. You have people who are, I've met just this week, they've been in Canada for 3 months, living in an apartment. There are people who live in ginormous mansions of many, many acres, and they've been there for generations. There are people who are using the food bank, and you have people who make and process the food. I mean, they have these, and they have companies, and then you have our agricultural community, our farmers who produce the food to bring to the producers who make the food for the market, that kind of a thing. So, I mean, it's like a microcosm of Ontario. And so it's got a little bit of everything. And that's one of the reasons that I love the community, is because there is a challenge in bringing that mixture of voices and the mixture of cultures and ethnicities that are in King Vaughan to that forum to advocate for them. Like, how do you take all those different needs, all those different cultures, all those different socioeconomic status that people have, and bring that voice, that big picture, and advocate for them so that everyone will be able to get something that they need in order to have a better life. It's a great place.
It's a great place.
It's it's so beautiful. So beautiful.
I'm Vaughan citizen for the last 15, 16 years. And
just driving around it, just driving up and down the
beautiful
streets. It is so beautiful. I mean, you get a really great appreciation for architecture in some of the homes. And some of them are very, very old, heritage houses, going back 100-200 years, and you have these brand new architectural pieces, and sometimes they're in the same community, which is interesting too.
So Gillian, we're going to come back to the same talk.
Yes.
So in Vaughan, since I told you I'm living there for the last many, many years.
Yes.
Right? My kids grew up there, went to same schools, but now and recently, like for the last few years, I have noticed the crimes, right? Crimes are increasing. So what is your plan for the safer environment?
Okay, so Bonnie Crombie is definitely very focused on helping people to feel safer. So what it requires is a coordinated collaboration between the police in King Vaughan, that would be the York Region Police, the mayors of the different communities. So you have the mayor of King Township, you have the mayor of Vaughan, and then all the different levels of government, federal, provincial, and municipal levels of government. Mayor Del Duca has started a program in Vaughan to have, in coordination with York Region Police, to have these bags called Faraday bags to protect the cars, the keys, so that people can't take the signal from the keys, that kind of a thing. He also wrote to the current finance minister to ask for a Homeland Security tax credit. I myself, now, as far as I know, that hasn't been put into place. I don't even know if there had been a response to the mayor from the finance minister, but you know, the community, the municipal community is doing whatever they can with the York Region Police. I myself, when I was door knocking and I started hearing this coming up more and more, especially with related to car theft.
Yeah, car theft.
And break-ins that were starting to happen. And so the perception from the individuals I was speaking with was that the police won't do anything. The police aren't doing anything. That's a terrible perception. And it would be an even worse reality. So I called and spoke with the York Region Community Police officer had said, so this is what I'm hearing when I knock on the doors, and I'm talking to the residents, and they're telling me that there's an increase in crime, but the police aren't doing anything. What can you tell me about that? And so we had a very long conversation. They said that they track every time there's a report, but they have a process. So you can't report for your neighbor. Your neighbor has to report if something happens. They are using marked cars, unmarked cars. They have plainclothes officers that patrol streets where they get multiple reports, because what will happen is someone will steal a car. They know you're going to replace that car. So they know they're going to come back and try again. And these are the things that they're telling me that they are very much aware of, and that they are also holding community events where residents can come and hear about the different ways that they can protect themselves. So I took that information and I went back and I knocked on that person's door and I said, this was my conversation, and it was very much appreciated because they didn't know that this was going on. So my recommendation, my suggestion, when I was speaking with the community officer was that, is there a way to let the residents know what you're doing? And I think Mayor Del Duca has done a very good job about publicizing on their website the things that the community organizations, the police, and the city are doing to help better protect the residents. So what Bonnie Crombie has a mind to do is to continue this collaboration, but also to provide the supports that the municipal councils and that the various police groups would need in order to be able to manage the situation, but not just manage the situation, move it forward, and help residents feel safer. Because they can be doing all of these things, but if you don't know what's happening, how are you going to feel safer? So there has to be that communication as well. And this is something that government should be working towards in a very collaborative way. And again, also including the federal government, because they have a role to play as well.
Anything Liberals are doing for drugs, like drugs in the school?
For drugs in the schools, again, when I was working full-time with the association, they had a program which was called, and I was in Toronto, but they had a program called SRO, which was the regional officers that were in the schools, and they were community officers. And so their job was to build relationships with the students such that they could trust the officers, that they could be introduced to pathways that would lead them away from organized crime, because they go after the kids. They look at them as the mules, the grunts. These are the frontline guys who, if they get caught, these guys don't care over here because they're students. They're not even going to go to jail. And so the thing that needs to get addressed is, why are they doing this? So police are doing it from their perspective that we're not the enemy. We're here to help you and work with you and to help you find and make better choices.
And I think the parent and children's relationship should be strong.
Absolutely. So now so that's one piece. Another piece, Saima, is that you need to address the reasons why the students are going this way. So is it for money? Is it for power? Is it for family?
No.
Because
is there a bad company maybe?
Well, where I worked, the school that I worked in, there were a lot of challenges for the students. And some of the students had challenges doing homework not because they didn't want to do the homework, but because right after school they were going home and taking care of young siblings while the parent might have to now go to work. And so the money that can be offered through organized crime can sometimes be far too tempting. And I blame the government for not addressing the socioeconomic challenges that struggling families are facing. Right? We hear about these scandals where close friends and confidants are about to make billions of dollars from backroom deals. And yet we're working with children in the classroom who I spent money out of my own pocket, sometimes on average $1,000 a year out of my own pocket to provide food in the morning because they're coming to school, they didn't have breakfast, or they don't have the writing materials that they need, they don't have the books, and so I developed a program so that they could come and do their work and be successful, and then when they leave the classroom, they deal with the life that they have to live. So in addressing, coming back, that's a kind of a long answer to your question about the drugs in the schools. We have to have multiple pieces in place. The underfunding of schools has reduced the availability of resources for students. So child youth workers. Some schools, my school, has 1,100 students with one child youth worker. That's the person who's trained to talk to them. How does that happen? They may have guidance teachers, but the guidance teachers are there to help them with their career path. You need to have the supports in place to assist these students to be successful and to know what their choices are. The special education program, this is a pet peeve of mine, if you don't mind me taking a moment. The special education funding was cut during the Mike Harris years. And some of it was replaced, but some of it wasn't. And so what happened was, year after year, school boards have a shortfall of anywhere between $19 and $24 million for special needs students, because that money just isn't there. And so what they will do is they will, as school boards are prone to do, they'll take, for example, I've got $5 million for textbooks. Okay, I'm going to spend $1 million on textbooks, and I'm going to take $4 million and I'm going to put it over here in special education. And so, they start to, move the pieces around to try to fill in the gaps. Why should they have to do that? They should not be having to do that. You can't underfund the schools and then, more concrete example, I'm going to cut your budget from 10 million to 5 million. Next year I'm going to put back 2.5. I gave you 2.5 million. I've increased your funding by 2.5 million. Did you really? No, you haven't, because you haven't even begun to replace the money that you already cut. Do you understand the perspective and the perception that they try to give is that we're these great funders, we're funding autism programs. I keep hearing this at the door. On one street last week, I was shaking my head. 2 different families, opposite ends of the street, both had children who were autistic, and they'd been both waiting, one family a year and a half, the other family over 2 years, to get their autistic child into a program, because the cuts have been so deep that there isn't anything available. And I was appalled at the numbers. If you want to go into privatized care, it's $150 to $170 a day for an autistic child. How are parents supposed to cope with that?
True.
They can't. They can't. So I'm not buying all of this, oh, pat myself on the back because I'm giving you these millions and I'm giving you these millions. Well, you haven't even replaced what you cut away to begin with. Like in 6 years, you haven't made it better. And that's what Bonnie Crombie definitely wants to do, is to provide the resources, stop the wasteful spending that's happening, and give people the tools and the resources that they need so they can have a better life. And I get to be a part of that. It's so exciting.
It's exciting too. Thank you so much. I'm hoping people are enjoying. I'm really enjoying.
I'm hoping you're enjoying, because I'm having a great time.
All right, so it's a very standard question which I ask to almost all of my guests.
Yes.
So in this era when everyone has a strong opinion, right? Everyone is, they can go, they Google it and they can know everything about anyone, right? So what made you to be a politician? Just in one statement, is it for power or it is for helping people?
I'm not a politician.
You told me before.
I'm a representative, and it's about servant leadership. It is not about power, money, glory. None of that interests me. It never has.
It's not you.
I'm not the person who gets up on the stage to be the actor. I'd be the backstage manager. This is about helping people to have a better life. And I'm sure there's been times in your life where you've helped someone. Don't
And
you
feel satisfied?
Doesn't it feel really good? It's such a feeling of satisfaction
Yes,
when
true.
you know that you've helped someone, even if it's just giving them the tools so that they can help themselves.
Or just advise them something. Right?
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just being a kind ear to listen and to feel and share their story. Sometimes that's what people need.
We being a Canadian citizens, we are peaceful people. Canadians are peaceful people, right? And one statement for global peace.
You're right. I mean, we have the reputation of being the peacekeepers, and I've always taken the position that it takes a lot more courage to get between two people who are trying to shoot each other and say, stop. There's got to be a better way than it is to pick a side and start shooting. And I think Canadians are a beacon for that philosophy of there has to be a better way. That violence is never the answer. It just isn't. And that when you drill it down to what are the basic needs that people have and how do we move that forward, out of that can come peace. And Canadians are that shining light of peace in the world. It's our reputation. You see those blue caps that they wear for the peacekeepers, and you know that they're most likely going to be Canadians. It was our program. And I think I don't know if there's ever been a time in the world's history where there hasn't been war happening. But that doesn't mean that we have to succumb to that, that we have to bow down to that. We can take the higher road, and Canadians should be that light.
Thank you. And as we are a woman, right? And women in these days, they are doing everything, right? They can achieve anything with the families. They are balancing their families and their professional lives, right?
Yes.
So there are not many women who are in politics in these days still, but if someone wants to be a politician, a woman, what advice you can give them, how they can jump in?
So I think if a woman decides that she wants to become involved in government in any kind of fashion, do what I did, which was to become involved in an organization. So if you want to learn about how government works, join a riding association, get on a board. Canvas, meet the candidates, do a little bit of research. Just
they
like
can
you would
do
any
volunteers.
kind of volunteer, participate, and learn everything you can as you go along. And then you can decide how much more you want to do. Like for me, as I said, I started out with my husband. We were canvassing, knocking on doors, putting up signs, doing all the kinds of things that people are doing now in this election. And then I became a riding president. So I started out, I didn't go right to riding president. I was the riding association secretary. And then I was, and then the vice president. And then I moved up. So I learned as I went along, decided, is this something, what does the representative actually do? I learned so much from Greg Sabara. I learned so much from Stephen Del Duca when I was their riding presidents. And you go to functions, you go to conferences, and you learn, and you meet people, and you start to network, and they start to get to know you. And then you can decide for yourself as you move forward, what does that look like for you? And then maybe one day someone will say, would you like to be the candidate? Learn
Great.
about the nomination process, what's involved with that. Call your 9 people like I did and get their counsel. And it really is, it's so rewarding. And I think it's one of the inherent things that we like to do as women, is to help people.
Yes.
We're very nurturing by nature. And when you nurture a community, so much bigger than a family, it becomes your big family. And there's so much joy and satisfaction in doing that kind of work. And that's why I want to do that. That's why I want to do this for you. I really do want to be there to help you have a better life. And so does Bonnie Crombie. So please go to my website, votejillian.com, and see what we have to offer you there.
So we're going to finish the show with one last question.
Yes.
What liberals are doing for if the Trump's tariffs going to be implemented?
Okay, so the tariff. So it's a pretty upside down, topsy-turvy world here, right? Like right now we're on quicksand. We were supposed to have had a 30-day reprieve, and now we've got the steel and aluminum tariffs.
People are confused.
So, number one, don't succumb to fear, because that's what Trump wants us to feel, is fear. Bonnie Crombie is not afraid, absolutely not afraid. And the supporters like myself who are with her, I'm not afraid, because actually he's done us a bit of a favor in that there's a tiny silver lining in that he's unified us. We have now been kick-started or jump-started into buying Canadian, looking at other international partners to trade with. The United States may be a very large and powerful country, but it's not the only one. There are many, many countries out there that will have the resources and the population, and maybe we've been a little bit lazy in not having developed those relationships more
and
strongly.
other countries, they're ready to do, make relationships. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so if the President of the United States wants to alienate us, we'll take our business elsewhere. And
Nice.
and we'll do it with a happy smile, no hard feelings.
We're still friends.
And Bonnie Crombie is very much an astute businesswoman. And so she was, the mayor of Mississauga, as you may know. Her last election, she received 78% of the popular vote. That means in her third term, more than 3/4 of the population that voted wanted her to still be the mayor. So that says quite a big piece about what she has done for Mississauga, and I can't wait to see what she's going to do for Ontario, because she is going to move us forward and just give everybody a better life, whatever that means for them.
Guys, elections are on 27th of February, and your one vote can make the difference. And please use your vote. And wherever you guys are living, in Toronto, in Vaughan, in King, or anywhere in Ontario, you guys can go choose your vote and choose your candidate, your best candidate. Thank you so much, Gillian.
Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure talking to you.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you to your audience. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to having another conversation.
Yes, in some other episode. And
Absolutely.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Bye, guys. See you in another episode.